Now, moving on, we also got to look at some David Cage stuff.
Yeah, that's sort of the opposite end of what we were just talking about.
Very much, very different. As opposed to open-ended, this looks much more story-driven. We saw that Takara demo back, I think that was a GDC joint.
So that was
2012, maybe?
That is incredibly a PS3 tech demo. That was before the PS4 stuff. And I'm really happy they went back to it because they had been showing off a demo called The Dark Sorcerer, which was that like old man face that could do a bunch of weird crap.
Oh, yeah. And they showed it twice. And the first time they showed it off, it was a very straight played dark fantasy thing, and the second time
they pulled back
broke the fourth wall,
Yes.
and he was like an actor.
Exactly.
Stage.
And like I'm very happy that's not the one they fleshed out because this one, the Kara tech demo, is so cool. Like I loved that demo at the time.
It's entirely possible that's the thing they're working on, kind of concurrently, that they're still working on that.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I think this one, like as a game though, like I like that world, I like that story. If you haven't seen the original video, like definitely go back and watch it because that video is great. I think it's like really smart and well played, and I like that actress. So I hope this game lives up to that. I actually liked Heavy Rain. Beyond Two Souls I didn't get into.
I'm dying to replay those. Like I've kind of tried to get into Heavy Rain a bunch of times. I'm always really impressed by it because it's such an incredible like attempt to do something, but it sort of misses the mark in a lot lot of ways.
Yeah,
I mean, I know what happens, and it's like
that's always sort of my experience with the three Quantic Dream games, Indigo Prophecy, or I guess Fahrenheit or whatever. Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls is A for effort, C for execution. I've always thought it's reach extended a little bit further than their grasp, at least in terms of they try to do really important and meaningful things with storytelling, and I don't know, like personally the writing hasn't been there for me.
No, the writing is definitely an issue. I thought that the voice acting in Heavy Rain's kind of all over the place. Some of it is really good.
Play it subtitled. Play it in French with subtitles.
Yeah.
Like that's seriously, like that's the way it was shown to me at first, and I was like, this is really awesome. And then I played it with the dub, and I was like, oh boy,
that's just like it's a weird thing to do that for a game that takes place in America.
Yeah.
Although the kids are French, I think they're David Cage's kids. No, seriously, that did the voice acting for the children in that game. And that's why they have completely different accents.
Mocapped his own son and chased him in the street.
And the story, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything because obviously people are going to play this for the first time, but the story is kind of strange. And it's got a ton of holes in it once you kind of figure out what's going on. But I still appreciate it for what it is, you know?
Yeah, those are on. Those are at Paris Games Week. Those are at Paris Games Week, playable on PS4. They still haven't said the date for when they're coming.
Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls are.
Yes, exactly.
Neither were in this conference at all today, which I find kind of interesting.
No, which is weird because they keep saying they're going to announce those dates soon, and they're at the show, so I was surprised. But I am glad we got this game, which is called... It's weird. It's called Detroit, but yeah, it's called Detroit.
Become Human.
Become Human.
Yeah.
And it follows those kind of androids are manufactured and purchased by people as essentially slaves, as like the working, like the service industry is made up entirely of androids.
Yeah. Like the trains in Detroit had like Android only sections.
Yes.
Where you can't sit with other people. Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's really smart topical themes. Again, I'm wondering how it'll be handled.
His stuff does really well as a trailer. Like I thought the first Beyond Two Souls trailer was incredible too. I think that I'll be very curious to see if he can kind of step back and do a more grounded, less pretentious story, because I think like it's like this weird thing where there are so many threads that are like so like high-minded and trying to be deep that sometimes he seems to get away from himself.
I mean, I think that he and Kojima should collaborate. I think it'd be interesting. It could be real weird, but I like the moment-to-moment stuff in those games. Like when you pull back and you realize that like that Heavy Rain is the only game I've played where you are a cool detective changing a diaper.
Yeah.
Can you just like, and if you're really bad at changing the diaper, then he's like, oh darn it, you messed up the poop again, and you have to try again.
I love that they got John Wayne to be in the game too. That was incredible.
There's more poop inside of the bag on his butt again. He filled it up with old turds.
The damn thing's screaming and making bad smells all over.
And again, this is early on, but there's this. I mean, Heavy Rain centers around a father that loses his son, and then having another son that gets kidnapped and trying to find the kidnapper. But there's a moment where the very early on in the game where the father is sort of playing, weekend dad to his son, and you can play out the scene any number of ways, which I always thought was fascinating. And he's sitting there watching TV, and you're in this very terrible looking living room, just miserable inside, and you can basically get your kid a snack, you can make him a sandwich, you can let him watch TV, or you can be a total ass and be like, shut off the TV. You're not doing your homework. You're going right to bed at 7:30. And he's like, I hate you, Dad. And the way that scene plays out differently, and his relationship with you depends on how much sort of give and take there is between the father and son right there. And that kind of stuff is way more fascinating to me than pretty much anything else that they could be doing with this new game. I know eventually they'll probably announce voice actors for it if they go the Beyond Two Souls route of, they had Willem Dafoe and Ellen Page, like big name people.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. That's pretty cool. That sort of rectifies the issue I had with bad voice acting in the first game. But to me, that moment to moment of sort of like how long did you let the scene play out versus how long Andrew did it or whatever, and how that affects your character interactions later.
I like the
that's the most fascinating.
I like messing with the sort of like where you have to reach for a doorknob.
Yeah,
and I like doing the. Is he gonna grab it? No, he's not gonna grab it. He's not gonna
grab
it.
I did the thing. I
did
the thing.
I spent like 5 minutes just holding a can of soda, just
I
moving it back and forth like
you're
really high in 7-Eleven.
Just poured orange juice all over my face and just put it down and they just shook it. It was like,
yeah.
I mean, my wife's in the other room yelling at me in the game and in real life.
It is interesting that Indigo Prophecy and Heavy Rain, I think they were really impressive. But since then, we've had a lot of games that sort of do things like this, from Telltale's games to Life is Strange to even like Gone Home and now Until Dawn. And so I feel like that marketplace is a bit more fleshed out now.
I think that it's
which I'm super happy with.
Yeah, I think that is the execution of Quantic Dream games. Maybe not always great, but the ideas are way ahead of their time, and we're finally at a point where people are like, I want a story.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still need to play Beyond Two Souls. Sorry, it's so hard to say the title that was because of the podcast we're on. But I love that you're just like Ellen Page with a spooky ghost pal, and you're like messing up stuff.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
like, the moments,
have you guys?
Like the stuff I played of it, and I watched a lot of your stuff with Greg at the time.
Yeah, the birthday party scene is awesome.
And that's the thing. Like the problems I have with that game, what I played of it, were more the weird non-linear story stuff, and like it's really hard to stay with that character because it jumps around a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
one day you're at a birthday party lighting tables on fire, and the next day, or the next scene you're like at a dinner party, and you're
you're
with a kid,
or you're on a Navajo Indian reservation,
or you're escorting a kid through like a gunfight in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
like,
that sucks.
So weird.
Yeah, like I realize it's a video game, but like there's so many games where you can be in a gunfight in Afghanistan. Like I'm totally okay playing one where you're just like going through coming of age stuff. Like,
and that's the thing. That's when they announced that game. I wanted that. I wanted like the Willem Dafoe therapy scenes and the birthday party scenes. Like I want to see like why this girl's all up because she's a ghost buddy. Like,
it's this stuff I always liked about the X-Men movies the most.
Yeah,
like the X-Men movies that sort of just like, hey, my dad hates me because I have ice powers. Like stuff like that is really interesting to me.
No,
like,
the part where Pyro puts on NSYNC in the car by accident, Wolverine's all mad at him.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I've always liked the moment-to-moment stuff, like where it's like here's something familiar but kind of made fantastic.
And the reason I think Quantic Dream will have a slight advantage over what Marty inferred about all of the Telltale games is that when this game comes out, you'll get to play it all. It won't be like I'm assuming it won't be month to month episodic or every 3 months episodic. So really cool stuff.